do see fundamental personality traits in good leaders. Rolling up your sleeves and getting into the trenches, the proverbial trenches, when your team's struggling. It's that humility piece. It's not being afraid. Just because your title's CEO doesn't mean you can't get down and dirty with your team. I think another great fundamental trait of a leader is somebody who has built themselves from the ground up. So maybe they started as a receptionist and all of a sudden built themselves up to CEO. That's a great leader. Another fundamental personality trait that I absolutely love is the sense of humor, is being able to find the humor in it, and keeping things light when things get tough. Being honest and transparent to the point of, again, up into the point of liability, meaning like I said, in some healthcare organizations, you can't tell staff things because it's going to violate HIPAA, but you can tell them as much as possible without violating that. And I encourage you to talk to your corporate counsel about that, or HR, before you go ahead and start being transparent. The other fundamental trait of a great leader is being able to almost hover above your organization and see it from a 360-degree view, where you can kind of view the gaps and blind spots objectively instead of subjectively. And hiring people smarter than you, being able, and what do I mean by that? So I'll give you an example from my own business. I have an accountant, and I have a lawyer that's amazing. I'm not an accountant. I'm not strong at numbers. That's why, that team is there. And, in my opinion, they're a great team. And then our attorney, I love attorneys. I know there's a lot of attorney jokes out there, but I believe that if you use attorneys properly, they will keep you out of court. And that's, as a business owner, you don't want to be in court. You want to be doing your work. So I think being able to recognize where your gaps and blind spots are, where somebody's strength is, to fill that gap and blind spot for the greater good of all concerned, and building a team from there. The other thing is, a fundamental trait of a good leader is knowing that CEO means chief reminding officer, in my mind. And what do I mean by that? I mean that they constantly remind the team of why they're here and what they're trying to achieve, what the vision is, what the mission, vision, values is. And holding that as the team move, like, again, they're like the rudder, right? So when people are going off course, it's, remember, our mission for this organization is to create a humane experience when it comes to medical procedures, or create a humane experience when it comes to the military, or big pharma, or things like that. And I'm not talking about coddling people like that. People make that mistake all the time when I say that, but it's not about that. It's about, holding people accountable to the best versions of themselves. And when they fall, helping them course correct without using shame. Shame is not a leadership tool, and it doesn't work. If you believe shaming your people is going to get them to do what you want to do, it may in the short term, but it's a terrible tool. So I think people who understand and connect and empathize and sympathize, and are also getting comfortable with discomfort. Meaning, let's go back to the George Floyd murder. It's caused a lot of conversation, and one of the things that I've come into the awareness of is that while I can study and read and educate myself about racism, my Black brothers and sisters are dying. And I have the privilege of being able to almost be a spectator to this tragedy. And it's wildly uncomfortable when I talk about it, but the more I talk about it, the more that discomfort dissipates, because it becomes part of my vocabulary and part of who I am as a leader. So, I think having those uncomfortable conversations and not being afraid to walk straight into the fire and come out and say, see, team, we walked through the fire. You're all fireproof. Did that hurt? Yeah, it hurt. Of course it hurt. But that fire burned off all the extra crap that was holding us back from being a great team. So I think another fundamental personality trait is not being afraid of being uncomfortable, because especially with the conversations around diversity, equity, inclusion that we're having now, especially for the white community that was responsible for building a lot of these things, that's an uncomfortable conversation. But it's not going to change until we need to start with the conversations.